Good morning. Welcome. Now this is a little confusing. I'm playing baseball music because I couldn't find the thing died on me. It's a long story, but we're gonna do fantasy baseball here in a minute. But before we do, let me kill that crap. Sean, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, man. It's a beautiful day. Just couldn't be more excited. I'll be in Atlanta this time next week, and ordered my Cleveland Guardians jersey yesterday. Just kidding. I didn't do that. That last part didn't happen.
So you were the one. They were trying to figure out who that was. So this is what we're doing. We've got a live draft that we're about to do, a live mock draft. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to try to share the screen. You won't be able to see Sean and I for the foreseeable future, so you're welcome. You're going to see the screen that I'm drafting on. And so there we go. All right, Sean, I'm assuming that you can see that and everything's good.
Yep. Okay. I got mine pulled up as well.
So what we're doing is we're kind of transitioning because the world of baseball, fantasy-wise, is essentially leaving us.
Winding down.
Right. So we're still going to do DFS here at the end. We'll do a little season long. And then also for things that were out of my control or not in my control, the Chicago baseball show that we normally do, we're not going to do it today because the two gentlemen that normally join me, they both got dragged into work is the short of it. So that's why you'll see the name, the Handicappers, in both this and then also when I redo this later and share it with the name Neighborhood Play Handicappers, is because we're going to transition. We might as well do it now because everyone's going on vacations and stuff, and we're going to be missing some guys. Sean just said that he was going to be in Atlanta next weekend. So long story short, we're going to transition the whole thing on Saturdays to the Handicappers, and we'll still talk Chicago baseball and Chicago, little Chicago football at the end. But we're going to start off with the fantasy, and it's going to be more fantasy football than it will be fantasy baseball for obvious reasons. So what we've got here, what you're looking at is a live draft, and I'm going to try to get rid of these stupid. Well, I can't get rid of this. This is why you see this ad. I ain't paying you, fool. All right. So anyways, Sean's got the first pick. I've got the 10th pick. It's a 10-man draft, and we're just kind of react to it. And so Sean, I can't quite see you. So talk over me, whatever the hell you want to do. Cause
I'm on the clock. So you just heard the sounds. Again, this is a mock. So, these are for anybody who's watching the show. If you don't do mock drafts, you're just doing yourself a horrible disservice. I try to do at least 10 to 12 before the fantasy season starts. Cause you just kind of get an idea of, what a flow looks like and what's going on in your head. So, I've got the first overall pick. I'm going to go with the obvious choice. In my mind is still Christian McCaffrey.
Absolutely.
I think his value is low based on being injured last year. And I think people are going to talk themselves out of him being 1-1, but I'm not buying it. If you watch Sam Darnold, when he was competent and when he had time to throw, I think they'll be a lot better with him under center than Teddy, and McCaffrey's, I think, a shoe in.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even see where you can. I would like to warn these people, but it doesn't matter. I don't see an area where you can put chat
talk.
In.
Yeah,
there's probably a good chance if I do say, "Hey, we're on YouTube," they're gonna go F-bomb this and F-bomb that just to be a
Yeah, don't do that.
Racist joke.
Interestingly, though, first 5 picks, all running backs, which is interesting. I'm more of a best player available guy, and you're going to be up in a minute, so I'll cede the floor to you. But
yeah, I'm trying to keep up as far as so if you can rattle off the guys that have already gone, because I'm trying to figure out my play.
Yeah, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Zeke Elliott, and Saquon just went. I mean, pretty much chalk with Yahoo's ratings for X rank. So
people know what the difference. X rank is the expert rankings collaborated. If you go to rank, if you're in a different kind of scoring league, it'll tell you who's the top ranked player in that league per points. But that's a loaded pistol because you see how the quarterbacks are all at the top. That's why it's hard to use that ranking, is because they're going to outscore everyone else. Everybody knows that. So you have to kind of dig back and forth. I don't usually use the rank part till I get much later in the draft normally. Okay, so I've got an opportunity here. I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyreek Hill so that I've got a receiver. And then when I do that, I know instantly I probably need to go running back. I know there's a lot of people that would like the tandem of Kelsey and Hill, but I'm looking at, but I'm looking at the fact that what happens if I don't pick a running back here? Ruh-roh. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Aaron Jones. He is the best running back available right now. And I gave that stat out the other day, how it is only him and Jim Brown have done what he's done in the first 4 years. So you got to figure they're going to lean on him somehow, because if it ends up being Jordan Love, you know.
And I was just about to say, if the reporting is correct, his load is going up. His draft stock is going up if that report is true. Still not buying it until I hear it out of his mouth, but if he is retiring, boy, Aaron Jones goes from maybe a second-tier RB to probably a mid-first tier running back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, because, well, I always thought he was first tier to begin
with.
He's
hilariously productive. He's a pass catcher. I mean, he's won me countless games the times I've had him just playing against the Lions, because he'll get a 2-yard screen and bust it for 60. He's a much better pass catcher than he's given credit for.
Yeah, I agree. It's I think a lot of it has to do, some people are gun shy because of AJ Dillon's share load. I don't buy into that. Do you? I mean,
no.
If there's an injury, sure, but then just handcuff them. I don't worry about handcuffs when we do these mocks, especially because the bench is very, very shallow. So I don't worry about it as much. But
it's coming back to me in a second. So let me give everybody an update past your picks. You took Hill and Jones. Right after that, Najee Harris, Edwards-Helaire, Diggs, Kelsey, and then Antonio Gibson just went, and now Eckler's just gone 2 picks in front of me. So,
and if you do want to keep up with pick and see what's going on with it, this is the
on the screen in the lower right-hand corner.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over his teams, and I show Sean's team right now. So you see what he has right now, and he's about to add to. And then when we go back to mine, I'll do the same after I draft. So Sean's got McCaffrey. He's got back-to-back picks. What are you thinking? What are you doing?
There are so the second tier running backs are out of the picture. So now you're getting into the lower second tier and the upper third tier. So your Jacobs, your DeAndre Swift, your Darrell Hendersons, who are going to be there when it comes back around to me. I'm not going to pass on AJ Brown. I'm just not. He's too good. And I'm also not going to pass on Justin Jefferson. So I'm going Brown and Jefferson back to back. I got, those are two, in my opinion, at worst, mid-second tier receivers, and could be mid-first tier receivers. So.
Okay, so you end up with Jefferson and AJ Brown. That really is a good bet. In my opinion, look, I feel like AJ Brown's gonna be solid, and Justin Jefferson has the chance to blow the roof off if all things fall in his way. Because I know everyone gets gun shy because it's Cousins, but look, man, Cousins always produces. At the end of the year, you look at his stats; he's always around 4,000 yards passing. He might struggle here and there, but he's got some weapons. And when you have weapons, that means that across the board, you cannot.
Kirk Cousins, even all the way back to Michigan State,
on any of his receivers.
Yeah, he's good for 1 or 2 stinkers a year, and those stinkers are bad, and it really throws people off the scent. I mean, he had that Indy game last year where they were down like 31-0 before halftime, and he had thrown 3 picks, and one of them was a pick 6. You have to live with those because they're just going to happen. Kirk's a guy who's going to force throws into tight coverage. He always has been. But you hit the nail on the head. They always have a good line in Minnesota. They've never had a terrible offensive line. They still have Dalvin Cook, and Thielen's, going to be a bit healthier this year. I just don't see any scenario where Jefferson's a bust as a sophomore. I just don't. I mean, he ripped very good cornerbacks to shreds last year. It's coming up to you. So,
yeah, I'm getting ready for it.
Allen Robinson just went a couple picks in front of you. It's a big sleeper target for me. I like him this year.
All right, so I'm looking at it. I am not drinking the Keenan Allen Kool-Aid at this point. I do feel like I need a running back. Miles Sanders is never my guy. I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. I think
good one.
I think the overall offense is going to be in his favor. And since he's the best quarterback available, we're in the 4th round, I'll go ahead and grab Mahomes. And then that way I know I've got the best quarterback and I've got a solid backfield and I have that receiver. If I didn't have Tyreek Hill, I don't know if I would have worried about Holmes, but the fact that I've got Mahomes now kind of makes me feel good about the fact that, and yeah, in theory, I could go out there and kick myself for not grabbing Kelsey, but what about that week that the Chiefs only scored 13? You're like, oh man. So I don't like being all in on a team per se. So that's another reason why I'm glad I didn't grab him.
Listen, my favorite fantasy team name this year, and I don't know why I hadn't heard this before this year, but I just changed the name of my team in our ACQB, contributors league to Country Roads Take Mahomes. Because, 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, you can almost set your clock by it in his first couple of years. So no reason not to.
Absolutely.
And
okay,
5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns doesn't grow on trees. So,
so you're coming up, and let me go ahead and switch back over to your team real quick. Yep. That's what my team looks like there. Hill, Jones, Mahomes, and Swift. So let's go back over to Sean's team because he's coming up. I like how we put ourselves on opposite ends of the draft. That really works out that way. Gives us time in between. So I got to put a pin in that mental thought, because if we were drafted on top of each other, we'd just be talking over each other and then there'd be dead silence. So I like if you're just joining the draft, by the way, Sean it had the number 1 pick overall. I had the number 10 pick overall. It's a 10-man draft. So there you go.
Coming back around to me really quick, a couple people I really liked. I was hoping nobody would reach for Henderson, but they did, which is sound. The Rams, he was good last year when he was healthy. The problem was he couldn't stay healthy. And, poor Cam Akers, just going down is such a huge blow. So I need a running back. I need a secondary starting running back. I pretty much know where I'm going to go. I was hoping a certain guy would fall to me, and I think he's there if nobody grabbed him. And yeah, he is going to be. So we'll see in just a second if it comes around to me. Not excited about the idea of Miles Sanders. So I'm going to grab Myles Gaskin. There's still some projection ability there, and if they go sign Todd Gurley, which has been rumored for a while, but they haven't closed the deal on it, that could really be something. There's another running back I'm looking at. I'm not going to mention it yet because it could come back around to me. I'm going to take a bit of a reach here. This is going to get me dragged a little bit. I'm grabbing Kyle Pitts. You and I watched a lot of him in college football. If he's on the field and he's healthy,
that's early, man. I ain't gonna lie, that's early as hell.
It is. I think he's good for 70 catches as a rookie. They're going to lean on him so heavy. Just a feeling.
It's not as big of a reach as it was the New York Mets trading for Rich Hill, but it's.
I was waiting for you.
Are they panicking? I mean, what the hell is that about, man?
I can't wait to watch Austin Riley hit that Ephus curveball. He's going to put it in the.
You made a trade for a guy that a team in a very tight playoff race said they don't want anymore. I'm just putting that out there, man. And this is a team that is missing their ace right now, right? So the hell's going on in New York when they make that move?
Listen, I had forgotten, and you live down there, and I know we'll do baseball later. Don't trade with the Rays. I went back to look at the Chris Archer trade because it was brought up on a podcast this week, and I don't remember what the pieces were. And it was Austin Meadows, Tyler Glasnow, and Shane Baz, who was the player to be named later, who's their next stud coming, for a dude that in Chris Archer that could never throw strikes. Like, do not trade with the Rays. You lose every time.
Oh yeah, I remember when that trade was made. I was like, really? All that Archer? Really? All right. See how that works out. All right, so that's my team here. We're coming up on the draft picks. I got Mahomes, Hill, Jones, and Swift, and so here we go. It's about to be my pick. And so now I've got to look at the fact that I've got 2 running backs. I only have 1 wide receiver, so that's probably a need. I'm going to always look and see where we're at in running backs right now. There's some good ones out there, but I don't know if I'm going to panic on that quite yet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a receiver or tight end, see the best tight end available, see if anyone, so we're going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm not reaching on that. So I'm going to go ahead and crap, I'm going to get auto drafted. What did I get auto drafted? Cooper Cup, Crapple Mola.
You only got 30 seconds. You got to go.
Yeah, I know. I got stuck on the thing. I was trying to click it, trying to do 9 things at once. So I better go get a real wide receiver just in case. I'm going to go ahead and hedge my bets and say that Adam Thielen's not going to have the injuries that he had last year, and he is his favorite touchdown target. So at least I got a solid, Cooper Cup. What a waste. Anyways, I would not have drafted Cooper Cup if, thankfully, our real drafts are much longer. 30 seconds really doesn't give you enough time on these.
No, it really doesn't.
It literally turns into,
It sure does. It comes up on you quick. I'm going to have to, just to give everybody, you've got it up on the screen. When it comes back around to me, again, I've talked about my philosophy a lot. I really am a best player available kind of person. I think roster depth is way more important, just based on where you draft. Now, again, since I took the first overall pick, I knew what I was getting into. So it's going to come back around to me. I'm going to have to make a choice between grabbing a quarterback that maybe isn't as highly ranked, or taking wide receiver, tight end, or running back depth for that flex spot. So, I'll talk myself through that thought process when it comes back around to me, because there are a few guys I like. A couple of them went right in front of me. I was really hoping Dak would make it back to me. I think he's undervalued this year, but guess the mockers in here with us had the same thought process as me. So
yeah, well, I think they're going to be a little gun shy because of the injury. But look, if he stays upright and he's healthy, Dak Prescott, fantasy wise, I don't care what his actual NFL career ends up being. Fantasy wise, he's one of the very best. And I've had
and their defense is bad, like actively bad.
Yeah, so. I mean, yeah, it's atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. So
it's back to me. Just where we are in X rank. I'm not a huge DJ Moore fan. There's some guys in the 50s, some wide receivers and running backs that I could take. I'm not excited about any of them. It's a bit of a reach given X rank and where we are, but I'm taking Justin Herbert with my first pick. I think he's, I think he's the genuine article in every way, shape, or form. This one's gonna be a little bit off the board, and you'll love this, but I don't think the team's going to be very good, but he might surprise as a rookie running back. Taking Michael Carter out of North Carolina, that the New York Jets drafted. I love rookie running backs, man, especially Saleh, first-year coach. I think he's going to try and establish a culture there. And anytime I hear that word, I'm thinking you're going to pound the rock. And for people that didn't see him at North Carolina, he's good. All the press was about Sam Howell, but Michael Carter was good.
We are in round 7, coming down to the bottom of round 7. And this is Sean's team right now. So he's got every position filled of the major positions. So now you'll be looking for depth or possibly a defense. And obviously we always pick kickers at the very end. Don't ever at me about that, because I'm going to tell you.
Every time I hear the word kicker, I think of that ESPN fantasy commercial. Okay, I'm going to give you a few rules. Kickers go quick. Grab one early.
Dude,
I love that commercial.
7 hours.
Those commercials were one of the best things ESPN ever did. I hated that they stopped doing those. They're so funny.
That 7-hour argument that Justin and I had over a bottle of whiskey in Atlanta over whether or not you should worry about drafting a kicker before the final round. Oh my God.
My God.
Oh God. Cause he
sounds like I wanted to be there for that.
Oh, he wanted to keep digging in on, what's the guy from Baltimore? The kicker from Baltimore.
Stover or Tucker? Justin Tucker. Okay.
So he kept saying how good he was. I said, yeah, but when he hits the bye, are you gonna carry 2 kickers? I don't know. I might. Anyways, long story short, we just randomly grabbed Allen Robinson out of thin air. Talking about Allen Robinson, he tears his ACL on the first play of the season. So he starts giving me a hard time about it. I kind of ate, and I said, all right, man, but I'm telling you right now, it was a mistake. later on the season, Tucker's bye hit, Justin drops him just to prove a point. I picked his ass up. And when we hit the very next week and I was playing Justin, I said, so who's your kicker? Because I'm facing you this week. And he mentioned who it was. I said, who is my kicker that you wasted an 8th round pick on? And she's dead silence. He goes, but man, what I was saying, I was like, this is what I was telling you. I'm going Kenny Galladay for some depth wide receiver because I don't believe in Cooper Kupp. And I got auto drafted that for people who missed that. Let me go ahead and hit that thing just in case it auto hits me. And so that's where I'm at on that. I believe that he is going to get a lot of targets and they will be pass happy. At this point, I have to decide, do I want to go tight end or do I want, you know what? I'll take a flyer on Logan Thomas. Not a Fant. Godare, to me, the problem with Godare, his quarterback, I don't know what he's going to do at quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and get my tight end knocked out of the way so I don't have to worry about it. And then I'll worry about depth down the road. It looks like the benches are, I believe this is a 15-round draft. So we're a little over halfway through for people who are just joining us. We are going to do fantasy baseball here in a minute. And I got some things I'm going to throw at Sean question-wise about the city of Chicago baseball. There's a couple of things that are going on. I just want to get your take on it.
Okay.
So we're heading towards you. Let me put it on the teams here. So this is my team. It's full, and I've got one bench player. So Sean's team, it's full, and he's heading towards the bottom of this, which would be the 8th round. And so you're going to have back-to-back picks. What are you preliminary thinking as far as your positions that you would like to go at?
So I'm a kicker and defense last guy. There are always defenses that come out of nowhere, either because of strength of schedule matchups or just because they overperform and you can stream them. I'm not a huge believer in buying defenses in the draft early, and we just talked about kickers. So I'm looking for depth here. I'm going to want to grab backup skill positions and potentially at some point, a backup quarterback down the line, but I can worry about that in one of my final 5 picks. A couple names on the board I'm taking a look at. I'm hoping nobody snags them before I get there because I want to talk about them when they come up. But it's possible one or more of them could get nabbed here. I'm hoping they don't. Looks like at least one of them is going to make it back to me. So I'll just lay them out there really quick. Javonte Williams, the 35th overall pick in the draft, rookie. For Denver, by all accounts, is going to be the primary back. And Melvin Gordon's basically going to be his, the backup. Obviously, if you're drafting Williams, I would recommend getting Gordon too as a handcuff. But that is a very, very underrated offensive line. So I'm going to grab him. And the other one that I'm going to grab is going to seem a little bit weird because T. Higgins is right in front of him on the X rank. But give me Jamar Chase. That familiarity with Burrow. They're going to do everything they can to put the ball in his hands on bubble screens, on quick outs, things like that. If it's a PPR, even a half PPR, he's going to make up that weight in gold. So those are my picks there.
So when it comes back down to me, I'm going to have to get some depth at running back. I only have 2, and I usually have many more. Getting auto drafted really, put the kit in the caboodle on me. Looking at this, I think the first guy I'm going to grab, just because it's smart, I'm going to grab AJ Dillon because I have Aaron Jones, and I don't see anyone on that list in front of him that I'm like, man, I hope I don't miss out on him. So I'm going to grab him, and I might double dip at running backs. It really depends on what is sitting there and what's there. If a Raheem Mostert is there, I would double dip. But if he gets taken, then I might go elsewhere because I don't really see anything past that is just, a lot of them are interchangeable. And at that point, I might go depth at wide receiver because there's no depth left at tight end. If we were sitting in a draft and we're going into the bottom of the 9th, early 10th, and there was still a really good tight end out there, and even though I've got one, we're in a 10-man league, that means that people are punting it. Dude, I'd grab it just so the other guy couldn't have it.
Yep.
I'd be like, screw it. I'm going to have 2 really good tight ends, and I might flex them, and then when I'm playing that guy that's been holding out and he's out there starting Gesicki, and I've got freaking Kyle Pitts as my flex, and I've got Kelsey as my starter, I'll be all right, So that's the way I look at that. what's your belief in David Johnson this year? Because
I said it
last year, and then here we sit.
I said it when we were on the show last week. I don't remember if it was a question or, it was advice I just gave at the end. It's kind of like avoid Texans at all costs right now, because I just have no idea what's going on with that franchise, with that coaching staff, who's going to be under center. I got nothing about that franchise in my head. Just it's a total zero for me.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I handcuffed AJ Dillon. Raheem Mostert was still there. I do worry about the fact that I'm drafting this guy. He's already got a Q on him. This guy's always got a Q on him. So that's my only issue with grabbing Mostert. But he's a phenomenal runner when he's healthy and he's got the ball in his hand. He's one of my favorite players to watch in all the National Football League. I don't talk about him much because I rarely get to see him, but I love his energy. I love the way he runs the football. But God bless, he's always on the damn IL. I mean, or even if he's not on the IR, he's still banged up and he'll play half the season. So you have to handcuff him. So that's the only problem I have with grabbing him there. Let me go back to the all players, although we'll probably just go to flex because that's realistically where you're probably going. So my team right now looks like this. We'll go back to Sean here 1 second. I've got Mahomes, Hill. Kupp is not starting over Adam Thielen. I can tell you that right now. And Holiday's probably going to be my flex. Kupp is going to be there for depth, and we'll see what happens. He could have a big game, big year considering Stafford's there, but I got to see it first. So that was my auto draft for people that are just joining. I've got Jones and Swift, and then for depth, I've got Dillon, who handcuffs that, and then I've got Mostert because I don't want a Detroit handcuff. It's either Swift or bust for me on that. I don't want to see them rolling out Billy Sims or something. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So we're heading to you. Yeah. So I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Sean, on or off the air. Billy Sims was one of my very first favorite athletes ever.
He was amazing.
He had the horrible injury.
Yep. Back at a time when injuries like that were just career enders. So,
and it crushed me. It absolutely crushed me as a kid. I would watch Detroit Lion football because of Billy Sims. And that lasted like a year maybe. And
back to me. Just a quick, and we'll get back to Billy Sims. I'm going to take Robbie Anderson for my first pick. He is a very perplexing dude. I've had him in some form or fashion the last 2 years. He was in Carolina. This is his second year in Carolina. He was in the Jets the year before that. He is one of the Deshaun Jackson All-Stars. When he pops big. But you got to live with the 2 catches for 28 yards weeks too, because they're in there.
But they utilized him so much better in Carolina than they ever did in New York.
They did. And I need a backup quarterback. I'm taking 17 here in Nashville. Added Julio Jones. I don't know. I got a feeling about him this year. I think he could be a top 7 fantasy QB.
So that's what Sean's team looks like right now. He's got Herbert as his starter, Tannehill as his backup, and then you got Brown and Jefferson as your receivers, McCaffrey and Gaskin as your starting running backs, Carter as the flex, and then you've got some guys that could end up being flexes / starters if things blossom. Javonte Williams, Jamar Chase, etc. Now for the viewers and listeners who are not aware of who Javonte Williams is, where did he come from? Give us that lowdown because I've got to set up my team now.
Okay. So Javonte Williams, 35th overall pick by the Denver Broncos, running back, basically was brought in originally, I think, to probably just spell Melvin Gordon. But for people who didn't see him, he was also at North Carolina. So the North Carolina running back for Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. Williams was kind of more of the Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Etienne mold, right? He was more of a pass catcher, 5'10", 220, very, very productive. Again, came out a year early as a junior. He was not a senior, and drafted by the Broncos. They had a run with Philip Lindsay where he had a pretty nice year in 2018. They go out and sign Melvin Gordon, who immediately gets a DUI and kind of falls out of favor. And a very, very underrated thing about the Broncos is they have a very, very good offensive line, especially on the left side. Garrett Bowles. They do a great job with the running game. So, and this is a big year for that franchise. I think if they come out of the gate struggling, Fangio could Fangio could be gone pretty quickly.
So I went ahead and grabbed a Smith out of Philly.
Devontae.
Yeah.
That's
Just
man.
it's really just more of a I wouldn't say a reach, but more
It's a gamble, but I mean, he's
a huge gamble. But
his production speaks for itself. I mean,
and as far as quarterbacks, I'm gonna grab his backup quarterback, and all the ones that I see here, give me Matty Ice. I'm not planning on starting him very often, but
that's a good one.
But he plays in a dome, and if I've got Mahomes, and he's always gonna be sitting on the bench, right? But if I've got him, there might be a matchup that I like a lot better than Kansas City. And I talked about this, and I'm going to do more of this when I start doing the fantasy football shows. We're going to be putting some up where we're doing each individual position. And one of the things that I talk about is on the first thing that I did the other day by myself when I was on the Wake Up show was the fact that Kansas City's got a really tough schedule down the stretch. And there might be a playoff situation where I would want to put Matt Ryan in over. Now, the problem with this, when you go and you rank these and you go, man, they got a tough D, we all know the defense never look the same from year to year. But you can usually get a good feeling on, oh my God, this team's going to play at Pittsburgh, at Baltimore, and at the Redskins all during the playoffs. Well, you don't want that team, right? I don't care how many injuries they have, how much regression they may have. They're still not going to be. They're not going to be the Titans secondary. I know that much, So that's kind of where I'm at with that, as far as why I would grab Ryan over some guys that have a higher ceiling. I want a guy who's got a solid floor. So now we're going back to you. And so this is what my team looks like real quick. I've got running backs and wide receivers on the bench galore. We're going into rounds 13, 14, 15, which means 15 is a kicker. 14 will probably be a defense. So I'll have one more position to fill before I hit the kickers and defense. And Sean has 1, 2, 3, 4 picks left.
Okay. So thought process for where I'm going. I'm going to, again, this isn't a real league, but if it was, this would be an immediate thing for me to do. I'm thankful I was able to wait this long to do it. If McCaffrey gets hurt, his backup is Chuba Hubbard out of Oklahoma State, who's, a very, very accomplished rusher in his own right. Again, they let Mike Davis walk. Funk Davis went to Atlanta and is their starter there this year. So, if you're going to have the 1-1 guy, you better grab that handcuff. And then this one's going to seem a little bit off the board. Just really have always loved this guy work. And I think he's going to be a real asset to Jacksonville. Marvin Jones Jr., who I think goes, unregarded pretty much every year, is always a pretty steady 70 catch, 1,000-yard guy. It's going to be a safety valve for Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Plus he's reuniting with the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville.
Darrell Bevel. Yep. Who's very familiar with him. So, rookie quarterbacks and veteran wide receivers, go back and check your fantasy history. Even if the team isn't good, those are usually very productive partnerships.
Now, the guy with the best talent is the one I got my finger on right there in Jacksonville, but I still think he's so raw. Laviska Shenault. There were games last year where he popped off the screen.
Man, he drove the Colts nuts. He was something. For sure.
Now I'm looking at team defenses because it'll come back around to me. So one of the things I'm going to have to pick is a defense. In general, I'm going to have more faith in Denver's defense than the ones that I see around there. So if they're there when I draft, that's where I'll go. If not, I'm not going to punt it because I got back-to-back picks. So I've got to pick a defense. But outside of that, looking at flexes because I've got my back. I mean, speed wise, talent wise, you love Marquise Brown, but you were talking about Robbie Anderson having to live with the majority of Marquise Brown's games are 2 catches and 28 yards. And then you get that one game where he blows up. You're like, man, I wish I would have started him. But it's like, why? I mean, it's almost torture to start him. I'm almost thinking Antonio Brown's second year with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a flyer on him before I take a flyer on that, and then I'm going to grab a Denver. It's a solid defense. I know that they're going to play a conservative style unless somehow they swing the trade for Mr. Rogers, and they're getting their captain back, which is huge. And Von Miller, I've seen him in a couple interviews. He seems like he's really energized. They've also done a great job of fortifying that defense. I think they're going to have a pretty solid defense this year. But a lot of it's going to predicate on the fact that can they control the ball, control the line of scrimmage? Because if they're constantly having to punt, and that defense is going to wear down in the fourth quarter, no matter how you look at it.
Yep.
So there you go with that. So Sean, his team is looking like this. You've got 2 picks left. Essentially, you've got a defense and a kicker. So let's see. Let's take you to the team defenses. Where are you thinking right now?
Well, I mean, we're down to the last 2, so obviously it's kicker and defense. My thought with kickers is always, I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but my thought has always been you don't really want to try and identify kickers that scored a lot of points last year, or even necessarily in offenses that you think are going to be dynamic. You need to look for kickers on teams who at least have tools, but had trouble getting it in the end zone, or you're projecting might have trouble getting it in the end zone, because you're really looking for field goals. You're looking for guys that kick indoors a lot and guys who are, going to get stuffed at the 5. I'm taking Rodrigo Blankenship of the Colts. Again, you can't talk me into Carson Wentz being the panacea there. And Frank is a very conservative coach, for all his rigmarole. And then for defense, this one's going to seem a little bit off the board, but it's really not. Give me the Patriots. I mean, again, they play a lower half schedule. They spent a lot of money on that defense. Belichick's got a lot of incentive after watching Brady hoist the title. I mean, he might actually just blitz 12 on every down. He might just send people off the sidelines to hit the quarterback. So give me New England.
And I will say this, if people are watching this, and because I pulled it up on a mobile device, I was curious because I can see how small the screen is on a typical laptop or whatever. Next time we do this, you can share a portion of the screen. I think I'm going to concentrate on this right here because
okay, gotcha.
We don't need this, and it'll make this much, much bigger. So it'll be much easier to see in case everyone's looking going, Christ, I can't hardly see anything. I mean, you can make it out, but it's be much easier on the eyes because I don't need draft results standings, blah, blah, blah over here on the side. All we need is this crap right here, and we would have been good to go. We're coming to the very end. I do not give a damn about a kicker. I know I'm going to drop him 7 times and pick him up 3 times. I'm looking at one left. I don't really care, but the best kicker available, if he's not taken, Robbie Gould is who I'm going to grab. He's got a booming leg, so I would go with that. But look, I'm not going to. Yeah, he's available. If it wasn't him, I'd be tempted to go Prater. The only thing that concerns me about Prater is he's no longer going to be kicking in a dome. He's kind of kicking in a dome in Arizona, but he's not kicking in a dome, and I do like the dome kickers. All right, so we'll stop share this. But before we do that, real quick, looking at your team, if this was a real team, how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good about my skill positions and my quarterback depth. I'm a little scared at how much I risked at the running back position. Again, McCaffrey's a 1-1. By the time it came back around to me and I had a chance to take running backs, I opted for Gaskin instead of someone that's maybe more of a proven commodity. Like I could have reached for Mike Davis there, who's definitely going to be the feature back in Atlanta, or David Johnson. Again, the options weren't as good, but I mean, Herbert, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, and
then of course, the other thing that you could have done is you could have, instead of when you drive McCaffrey, you come back, you didn't have to go wide receiver. You could have grabbed another running back and then just had Jefferson and somebody, or Brown and somebody, depending on how you feel about that.
Yep.
And then also this was a bit of a reach. So that's Kyle Pitts. So that's why you're going to be a little lesser in other areas. But if he blows up, then who cares? right? If he starts scoring like he did at Florida versus Vanderbilt, then you ain't worried about it.
He ain't playing Vanderbilt in the NFC South. I mean,
right.
Carolina's defense is pretty close, but
my team, I'm liking the Hill Mahomes, not liking this that I auto drafted, but
Cup, yeah.
I'm solid running back.
Yep.
But I did draft down towards the bottom, so it wasn't like I was going to get one of the elites. But Aaron Jones could make out all right, and DeAndre Swift fell to me in the second go round, so I'm liking that.
If this was a real team, you'd be FaceTiming me a lot during Lions games. You'd be like, "What are they doing?"
And then, of course, yeah, you would think you drafted this team because I got Galladay there too. But I like the depth that I got, and then Devontae Smith was just a flyer. He's one of those things that, like, man, if they can find a way to get the ball in his hand, I think it's fine. But I'm worried about Jalen Hurts not being very accurate. I'm also worried about I'm also worried about the fact that Devontae Smith was 165 pounds when he was drafted. Hopefully he gets some squats, but I do like the Matt Ryan depth, and I would be optimistic-ish on Antonio Brown that he's going to have a complete offseason. But I don't like this. What the hell is this? What's this red cross thing he's got going on here? So I don't know if he's injured or what, but there's no update. So I don't know what that's about. All right, we'll stop that. So here we are we're going to do some fantasy baseball real quick, and then we will finish the show off with some Cubs and White Sox. So what do you want to do with the fantasy baseball as I'll set everything else up?
I'm going to give everybody just kind of a few waiver wire guys to take a look at. Again, these are all guys rostered in, for the most part, in 50% or less of all standard leagues. The first one everybody should take a run at, if he's available in your league and hasn't already been picked up, especially if you're in a dynasty, is Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh has been one of the top 3 prospects in the Angels organization for years. You probably heard a lot more about Joe Adell, who was brought up last year and immediately struck out in like 6 out of every 10 at bats.
He's been terrible.
Yeah, he hasn't been any better in AAA. He's starting to run into a little
what's wrong with this guy.
Yeah, there's holes in that swing for sure. But Brandon Marsh, in 295 minor league games, slash line of 288, 371, 440, 11% walk rate, and 45 steals in 56 attempts. 6'4", good contact skills. Looks a lot like Jason Worth. Really trips me out every time I see him. I'm like, when did Jason Worth start playing again? But left-handed guy, and the time is now for the Angels. They're not really going anywhere this year. I mean, they're still staring up at the Mariners, who are the nicest story in that division. So they need to see what they have in him and see if they can get anything for some other guys. The next one, and he's owned more in some leagues, is Pat Wisdom. Who, depending on what your league rules are, he might be eligible at third base, first base, or in the outfield for the Cubs. He is a real two true outcomes guy. So you have to know what you're getting into with him. But 93% exit velocity, 19.2% barrel rate, 61.5% hard hit rate. He's got 14 homers and just 152 plate appearances. And the second Bryant's traded, which could literally be any day now, he's immediately the everyday starting, wherever. Which he's losing some at bats right now to just Bryant and Rizzo being in the lineup. But you have to live with the strikeout rate. It's a 41.7% whiff rate, which just means he misses the pitch entirely, and 40.5% strikeout rate. For some reference, the only players who have a higher strikeout rate are Mike Zunino and Keston Hiura. Ouch, which is not the names you want to hear in reference to you. So just know what you're getting. But if you're struggling with power and runs batted in, he's a good get. And then it wouldn't be a week, if I didn't do a Tiger beat bit and mention somebody on the Tigers, because these guys are, just for whatever reason, hugely undervalued, even though the Tigers have the fifth best record in baseball since May the 8th. Akil Baddoo is still only owned somehow in 51% of fantasy leagues. 275, 15 runs batted in, 13 runs, 6 steals in 20 games since June the 1st. He's on a 20-30 pace. He's basically a top 50 outfielder. Again, outfield is a pretty deep position, so he might not be the first guy that comes up for you, but especially if you're in a dynasty. I mean, this guy's 22 years old. He's 22, and he's going to be in that outfield and very good for years to come. I don't know if he's going to stay in center field. I think he's going to end up in a corner eventually because he's not a great center fielder. And as he gets bigger, he's going to, you know, just have a tougher time patrolling center. So he's going to end up in left or right. But steals, power, you can't go wrong. I got to give one pitcher before we run, and then I'll toss it back to Mac a little bit. If he's available in your leagues, if somebody hasn't already grabbed him, go get Josiah Gray now. He had his first kind of action with the Dodgers this week. He was basically their number one pitching prospect at the time that they called up Dustin May. If you saw him pitch this week, and I paid a lot of attention to him because the $100 league I'm in with Trosh, I have him and drafted him before the season. You know, you saw what he can be when he started.
How's
against
your
San
team
Francisco.
doing, by the way? Because I know you inherited a team, and you're like, I'm pretty much giving money away the first couple of years.
This year, yeah, this year and next year probably.
How's your team doing in the standings?
So because it's a dynasty and it's a true dynasty with a salary cap and everything, you know, I adopted a team that had some potential, but I knew I was going to have to trade the guys that were on affordable contracts for bigger pieces at some point this year. And I had a nice run in the first half. I got a really nice first half out of Austin Riley, out of Zach Wheeler, out of Will Smith, out of Odorizzi, and then, you know, injuries and just, you know, the fact that it's not a very deep team. Rendon's been a huge disappointment.
By the way, I hate that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Rendon's been a huge disappointment. I adopted him. Freeman started off really, really slow and has since heated up. So Trosh, I'm surprised he didn't mention this on the show last week. I made a kind of a fire sale trade that got me some future prospects. So I traded Wheeler and Morton, who were both on expiring contracts, by the way. Wheeler and Morton, and
expiring contracts for your team. So does
my team, right. So
what does that mean in that league? How does that? So in other words, for those of us who are not in your league, don't understand the rules. If they're expiring contract, does that mean he goes back into a draft bin, or is it a salary cap, or what?
So the maximum number of years you can give to a player is 3 if they are drafted by you. At the end of the 3 years, you can make a choice to franchise said player and pay them $10 more than their salary from the previous year, which depending on what their salary was can be really pricey or it can not be. So this trade, for example, was Michael Brantley, who was on a franchise tag. So I was paying him 17.5 in a $250 salary cap. Zach Wheeler, who has 1 year left of team control after this one. So he's 7.5 this year and $10 next year, which is pretty cheap in a $250 salary cap. But again, next year would be the last year I'd have him. And Charlie Morton, who was a 1 year player, meaning I drafted him this year and bid $12 for him. So my choice is to sign him to a contract, but it has to start at $15 for 3 years, or just let him go back into the pool. I traded those 3 players for a second round draft pick in next year's reserve draft, which is our snake after the auction for this league. Hunter Green, who everybody should know that name, I hope. Emerson Hancock, who everybody should know that name, in Seattle. And I ate the final year of Charlie Blackmon's contract, basically for Brantley, so that I could get Hunter Green in the extra pick. Gotcha. So that was, you know, I've slid down the standings as some of, you know, the guys that were hot in the first half, namely Austin Riley, have cooled off. And I've had a bunch of pitching injuries too. Like I had Spencer Turnbull, who, you know, had a no-hitter and then immediately went out with forearm tightness and now is gone until 2023. Matt Boyd, a couple of other pitchers. Rendon's been hurt most of the year. So like you had mentioned at the outset, I adopted a team and basically said, hey, I'm going to be donating my money for this year, next year. And then, you know, I'll have some.
You got who in return? The
Emerson Hancock, Hunter Green, Charlie Blackmon, and a second round reserve pick.
And how long can you have, like, we'll just say Hunter Green for?
So because he's currently on a minors designation, which means he's not pitched enough major league innings to be considered a roster player. Until he does, I can keep him forever. Once he fulfills enough innings, then I have to sign him to a contract, at which point he becomes 3 years starting at $2.50. So, again, I have Adley Rushman in a similar on this team in a similar situation. Everybody should know that name if they're a baseball fan. Similar scenario when Rushman comes up and Hunter Green comes up, and I also have Sixto Sanchez, who I'm still hoping works out, and Matt Manning came up for the Tigers. I've got a lot of blue chip top 50 prospects. Get back to why that matters for Josiah Gray. I did not adopt Josiah Gray. I drafted him this year in our reserve draft. He started on Wednesday. You'd be remiss if you didn't miss it against the Giants. He gave up 4 solo homers, but he also had a 53.3% whip rate and struck out 7 of the 17 batters he faced. The stuff is real. He throws hard. He throws inside. He has 4 pitches, but he doesn't really trust his changeup. So it's pretty much just fastball, curveball, slider at this point, because 3 of the 4 home runs were off that changeup, which is basically just a batting practice pitch at this point because he doesn't have a great feel for it. But especially if you're in a dynasty, maybe not for this year, but if you're in a dynasty, go get Josiah Gray now. This guy is the next arm that the Dodgers are going to put in that rotation or in that bullpen during the playoffs. Think of Urias, only right-handed, and actually kind of a little bit better than Urias was the first time they called him up. So that's the one pitcher I wanted to give. So Josiah Gray, Brandon Marsh, Pat Wisdom, Akil Baddoo. All those guys under 50% owned. Badoo's right around 50 to 51%. Pat Wisdom, depending on your leagues, pretty close to that as well. But Brandon Marsh is about 30%, and Josiah Gray's like 10%. Again, especially if you're in a dynasty, go get those names now. If you're carrying dead roster spots or guys who aren't going to play the rest of this year. I've seen folks in yearly leagues, not dynasties, that are still holding on to Acuna. It's like, I love you, but he ain't coming back this year. So like, give up that roster spot and go grab somebody that can help you.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into DFS before we start to mosey out of here.
Yeah, so for DFS really quick, not to be too much of a homer, one thing I really like to look at with DFS is guys who have a history of performance against a certain pitcher. Now, again, because we've had so many pitching injuries this year, there's a lot of guys starting today who don't really have, that kind of pedigree, 3 at-bats or less, 5 at-bats or less. There's a lot of guys today that fit that bill. But the one you should grab more than any other is in Philadelphia tonight, and that is Mr. Frederick Freeman, who in 20 at-bats against Vince Velasquez has 8 hits and 3 home runs and 12 runs batted in.
Now, the problem with that is that game is not on the main slate tonight, which is an issue because it doesn't start till 6. I don't know why they're doing that. It's really strange. They're not playing until 6 p.m. Eastern. Or I'm sorry, they're playing at 6 p.m. Eastern. So the Yankees, Red Sox, and the Braves, Phillies, they're on an earlier slate. Your big slate tonight, the 7 o'clock primetime games, that starts at 7. And it's really stupid that they didn't just go ahead and include that game because it's so close to. But I'm sure it's got a lot to do with getting people to pay in and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, the point is, if we're going at the 7 o'clock slate, because that's the one we're going to focus on. Where would you go with that? Because I do agree with you. I don't know how the hell he does it, but he owns Velasquez, who is a lefty. He's a hard throwing lefty. You'd think Freddie would have an issue with him, but he doesn't.
Yeah, let me look at some other really quick names because that was my big one. Was my big one was Frederick. Was there anyone?
Sure, I'll go ahead and throw some out at everyone while he's looking up at that. Looking at the okay, so on the pitcher front, you got your obvious names, and there's some big names on the late slate. Burns, Rodon, Bassett's going up against Seattle, Gausman, Valdez. I mean, all these guys are really good. Ryu's going up against the Mets. I think he'll do a really good job. But if you're looking for some value, if you're looking for a guy, you're like, okay, I don't want to pay a whole lot because I want to do things elsewhere. Dude, your boy Casey Mize, man's only 6,600. He's going against the Royals, who've just fallen off. I've really been disappointed by how the Royals have played second half of the
course, they ended our winning streak last night, though. Of course, they had to do that.
Right. But in general, and I'll tell you another guy who could be sneaky because he's not playing at home is Kyle Freeland at the Dodgers.
Yeah.
and I get he's playing against the Dodgers, but Kyle Freeland has pitched pretty well since he's came back off of injury. So those are two guys that I'm definitely paying attention to that are kind of off of the beaten path. If you're looking for guys of note with name, Logan Gilbert goes tonight at only 7,800. That's interesting. Look, Taijuan Walker's good at 8,200. You're like, whoa, look at that. He's playing the damn Blue Jays, and I don't want anything to do with that. If I've got a fantasy pitcher that's going against the Blue Jays, you're sitting down. I've got him in. I got him in our rotisserie league. I got to make sure to take his ass out of that lineup because he is just terrible when he goes up against hard hitting lineups. He's normally phenomenal, but I don't want. I'm not willing to gamble it. I'm just not. So, what's your thoughts as far as the pitchers go?
Yeah, I see the action now on the pitching front. Casey Mize at 6,600 is very, very enticing. I cannot shake a stick at that at all. If there's one other one I would want to mention, one's a stay away and one's a grab. Take a look at Kyle Gibson's last 3 starts. The bloom is coming a little bit off the rose. I'm surprised Texas hasn't sold him yet because his last 3 starts, his ERA has gone up almost a full run. And again, he's a guy that's been in the league. It's not like he's 22 years old. Minnesota. Yeah, he's going at Houston.
No, I'm saying, does he pitch tonight? Does he make it to the post time, or do you think they go, dude, we got to trade him. Let's get him out of here.
I mean,
we got till
who knows? But
let's send it back.
If I'm the general manager of the Texas Rangers, whatever your best offer is on the table, I'm taking it right now. Because if he goes out and gives up 9 in the first inning,
he's not in just Houston. In Houston. He's going into Houston.
Into Houston.
I want to get rid of him. Send him to the Yankees or the Red Sox before they see what the Astros can do to him.
Yep, absolutely. So, the one I would grab that's in the Mize range, but a little bit higher. Keep an eye on Logan Gilbert against Oakland. He's been a lot better his last couple of starts. I'm gonna give everybody one hitter really quick because if you go to third base, like all the red that pops up is immediately defeating. There's 5 of the top 12 guys are on the IL right now. The one that sticks out, I know he's not having a great year. Josh Donaldson, he's shown some signs of life the last couple of weeks. His OPS the last 10 games is up to 814. He's showing a little bit of sock, and he has always punished left-handers. And if you haven't watched Patrick Sandoval of the Angels pitch, he's a finesse guy. He's not a power guy. He's going to be around the zone a lot. That game's at Minnesota. Donaldson likes left-handers, and he likes, that left field porch in Minnesota a little bit more than he seemed to like hitting on the road. So you can get a good value there at 4,800 and spend some money elsewhere. Like Buster Posey. Buster Posey is just, I can't believe he's doing this. He's just, everything about San Francisco defies belief this year, but he's got like a 1014 OPS in his last 10 games. He's hitting 350. I mean, spend that $5,100 there. Huh?
Steroids.
Oh yeah, steroids.
I mean, I know he's got access to it because he's in the Giants locker room. There's probably still some laying around from about 20 years ago when Bonds was juicing.
Oh, that's what we're doing now. We're doing Balco again.
Yeah. It's like, what is this? What are these orange pills that I found laying around here?
Gossman's got a bionic arm. So those are a couple names for me that everybody can target. Again, Posey's a big one for me. I would grab Casey Mize though. I mean, you'd be forgiven for not watching a lot of Tigers games. I know I watch him more than anybody else, but man, is he good. And he's getting a lot of confidence every time he goes on the mound.
All right, well, let's go ahead and go ahead and finish this off as we talk a little Chicago baseball. It's like, once again, I said the actual neighborhood play is not being done today because Joey and Christian got dragged into work. So we're going to do a little Chicago baseball for those of you Chicago fans that are used to catching us at this time. Real quick, the first thing, Sean, what the hell's going on with this? You're in Mercedes. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. I quit, I'm back, I quit, I'm back. What the hell's going on with this?
Yeah, the only thing I can say there, and again, I'm not a fan of Tony La Russa, not in any way, shape, or form. Guys in the Hall of Fame, he earned that place. But since he went in the Hall of Fame after he left the Cardinals, everything since then has been pretty sketchy. We had a conversation about this guy on the payoff pitch. I think the first or second week. Is this real? Is it a flash in the pan? he'd been in the minors for a decade, kicking around. So, you know, anytime a guy's been in the minors that long, there's a term for those guys. They're called 4A players for a reason, right? They're too good for AAA, but they're not, you know, stupendous everyday major leaguers, and they kind of go up and down. Like we just talked about Patrick Wisdom. He's a 4A guy. He's 29 years old. He's been, you know, he's been in the system forever. So he was with the Cardinals. You know, same thing with Carson Kelly, who was part of the Arenado trade. He was in the Cardinals organization forever as a catcher. I mean, that's a death sentence. You're not getting up to the big team until Molina retires. So they trade him to, you know, trade him around, and he ends up in, you know, Colorado and then eventually in Arizona. So yeah, I think he just had a crisis of conscience. I think he had a bad moment. This is one of those things I really don't like about modern athletes and social media. And I don't know how you feel about it, but you know, they have this outlet to say what's on their mind 5 seconds after they get bad news or 2 seconds after they have a bad game. And it's always ill-advised. It's always ill-advised.
Do you have any idea what he was talking about? Because I still have not uncovered when he said, I said things immaturely. What did he do? What did he said something that obviously didn't get uncovered. So now he's coming back. He posted on
Instagram that he was retiring, and there were a bunch of statements in there about, you know, it's been a great run, and you know, I got to live out my dream and stuff like that. And almost immediately the White Sox were like, yeah, we're paying you, and you're on the lineup card for tomorrow, so we expect you to be here.
Yeah,
in Charlotte.
But did you catch the part where he's talking about how I made some mistakes in the comments that I've made? Blah, blah. And I'm wondering like what he said or did something. And I think he was in fear of cancel culture. Yeah, whatever it is, exactly. Got swept under the rug or overlooked. Somebody, a camera must not have been on when he thought it was on, right? Because somehow he's like, woo, I dodged that bullet. I don't know what the hell he said, what he could have said. Who knows? But anyways, I found that very interesting. And then the other thing is over under on Chicago Cubs being traded by, so a week from today is the deadline, right? I believe it's usually 4:00 Eastern, so I'm going to assume that's what it is today and next week.
I think it's the 30th this year. I think it's next Friday because they like it to be on a Friday. They don't like it to be on a weekend, but
okay.
I think it's the 30th. But yes, you're correct.
I was wondering about that because I kept seeing it getting mentioned like we were counting down to Friday, but I was like, it's always been on the 31st. But maybe they don't like doing it on the weekends for a lot of reasons. So mainly because their fat asses don't want to be working on the weekend. So anyways,
I just looked it up, 4 p.m. Eastern, Friday, July 30th.
So that is what they did. I wonder what happens next year when it goes to a Sunday. I wonder if we're going to get it to August 1st or
probably a Monday,
or
I bet they do it on a Monday,
or are we going to do it on the 29th? So anyways, the point is we've already got Jock Peterson gone, right?
Yep.
He was traded. So I'm not counting him. The rest of the week, or actually let's count him. The rest of the week going into Friday, over under 3.5 total Cubs traded. So we're talking about
over $50, $100, $200 over. It's
Kimbrel,
the Ricketts. The Ricketts are having an everything must go sale. Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, Kimbrel. Those four, I mean, they're gone. And the Ricketts have been open saying they don't care about the comp picks, right? That's been a thing that has been the Tigers' strategy for the last 5 years or so, is to give a qualifying offer to their guys, and then when another team signs them, you get a compensation pick. Tigers just drafted Ty Madden out of Texas with the 32nd pick. He was a comp pick. You know, some teams don't want to do it that way. They would rather have the bird in hand rather than the one in the bush. And, you know, I think they're all gone. I think
it clean.
I think they're all gone. As to where, you know, a lot of conjecture about where. You know, I hope the Braves one-stop shop in Minnesota. I hope the Braves stay away from all the Cubs players. I want the Braves to call Minnesota up and say, hey, we'll take Barrios, we'll take Buxton, we'll take Sano, we'll take whatever you want. You can have these because they need bats.
I want them
another arm.
And if we're talking Braves, I want a one-stop shop in Texas. I want to say, give me Gallo and give me Kennedy, and we're done. We might grab an extra reliever somewhere, but that's what I want. I want the one-stop shop in Texas.
It seems like from the
Because
reporting,
we're
and
loaded
again,
at starting pitching. We don't need starting pitching. We need our bullpen is junk.
bullpen junk, JUNK junk. When I originally booked those tickets, I was like, oh, the Braves are gonna steamroll the Brewers, and now I'm gonna be there with my son, the Brewers fan. He's probably gonna be, ridiculing me the whole time when we're at the game next Friday. But yeah, I don't think any of them. None of them are going to be
your son to quit pulling for weird teams and get it together. Okay, just say, look,
man.
Look here, man. We're a Braves Tigers household, okay, and we're going to pull for the Lions, even though it's going to make you cry the rest of your life. And then Titans.
He isn't doing any better with the Colts. So I mean,
stop it. Let him. Colts. Stop it with the Brewers. We're not moving to wherever the hell you're trying to get us moved to. Okay, it's not happening.
He'll get over it, because once he's grown it out of the house, we're moving to Jacksonville anyways. We've already told him, so he'll get over it.
Oh, he's only begun to have heartbreak. Wait till he becomes a Jaguar fan.
Well, that's after he's in college. He probably won't come with it. But anyways,
by then, who knows? Urban Meyer might have actually done something, but we'll see.
Exactly. I would say so. If I was a betting man, and
if they were going to keep one guy, I think it's between Rizzo and Baez. Who do you think?
I would think they would keep Baez because he's younger and he plays a position that's just very difficult to find up the middle. I think Rizzo's a Yankee. I think Bryant is either a Padre, Padre or a Met. The Padres have been sniffing around a lot because they want to upgrade Will Myers.
If you're trading for Rich Hill, you're trading for Chris Bryant. I can just tell you that.
That's true. And then Kimbrel, I mean, there's so many teams who want him. The Braves have sniffed around him, but it feels like
I think he's too expensive for a lot of people's taste. I think the Red Sox will throw whatever they can to get him back, because you talk about a two-headed monster. And then
don't discount the Reds, man. The Reds are sniffing around a lot of people right now to upgrade their bullpen.
But the Reds
just don't know what they sell.
The Reds are so far back in the chase. And would they trade
games though?
Would you trade Kimbrel to a division rival when you know you're going to have to face them next year too? I don't think I would.
I probably wouldn't either, but nothing the Cubs have done in that front office has made sense since they won the World Series. So.
I don't even know if I trade him to the National League. I think I say, you know what, bro? I know what I'm not doing. I'm not going to give the Dodgers another freaking bullet in the gun. Okay. Right. I'm not going to do that. I could see the Padres. A team that could just look out, lights out. What if the Giants were to pull it off? But I wonder, are they? Yeah. Look out. But I just wonder, would you trade him it's one thing if it's a stretch run for this season and you're like, whatever, dude, I don't care if we lose the rest of the game.
But he has another year. Yeah. He has another year.
You kicking yourself in the ass if you turn around in Chicago and then next year you're in the NLCS and here comes Kimbrel out of the mountain going, here we go. And you're like, oh man, I got him. Why the hell is Rizzo playing first base for them? What's going on here? So that's why now with that.
Can you imagine if the Phillies, who have the most atrocious bullpen, traded for him? Oh, I'd hate that for the Braves.
Yeah.
The only thing about that is, what are the Phillies selling? They have bats. They have bats in their minor league system, but not arms, which is what the Cubs want. So I just don't know what they sell. They have Moniak.
I think he ends up in the Bay.
For you. Yeah.
Kimbrel, I think he ends up in the Bay. Giants, but I'll tell you what, if they can figure out a way to pay him, don't count the Oakland A's out of it, because
that's always been the thing, though. That franchise, they need to make some moves, but they've got 1 foot out the door. They're in Vegas next week, so are they really going to be spending? That owner doesn't seem like he's spending.
I say trade him across town, give him to the White Sox. You won't face him very often, and he doesn't even have to move, right? He just has to.
Hendricks, Kimbrel, and Kopech in the last 3 innings. Good night.
Exactly.
Say goodbye.
I think he ends up in the American League. Yeah, I really do. And then real quick, and then we'll jump off here. The White Sox, they're getting Robert back. They're getting
Jimenez.
And They're getting Eloy Jimenez back.
Yep.
So that's gonna help their outfield immensely, right?
Absolutely.
What move do they make? Because I do think they do make a move. If it's not Kimbrel, if Kimbrel doesn't go across town, are they in on the Kyle Gibson? Are they where do you see them going?
Yeah, the two names that have been linked to them most have been Eduardo Escobar of the Diamondbacks, which may be redundant now, but he would be a replacement basically for Nick Madrigal. And they're starting, they're kind of piecing it together, at second base since Madrigal went out for the season. They've gotten nice production out of Gavin Sheets. They've gotten some guys who can, kind of fill the void there. But those aren't long-term solutions. Escobar is the name they've been sniffing around a lot. The pitcher I would keep a real close eye on for them, because I keep hearing it over and over again in the same team, is they seem to be sniffing around Merrill Kelly a lot. And the Diamondbacks are asking for a lot in return. But Merrill Kelly's good. He's how much you can say about anybody playing on a team that's that bad and that lost like 29 road games in a row or home games in a row, however many it was. It's just like, when the Cubs had Anthony Young and he lost 21 games in a row, was he really that bad? No. It's just at some point it's in your head and you have a defeatist mentality. So I think the Diamondbacks are a huge team to watch for sellers this year because they could sell Kelly or Gallen to the White Sox, which would be.
And they have been known to dump. They will salary dump.
And that is a dumping front office. And
then they will try to. It's not like they're scared to spend the money, but they're not afraid to go this. We've got to reset ourselves. And like they did with Greinke when he still had a year left on his, they gave a lot of money to Bumgarner.
Yes, they did.
I think that worked out very well. But anyways, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Man, my walk-off is everybody enjoy the baseball today. And I'm going to do kind of a Wednesday walk-off. Happened to flip over to NBC yesterday and see Maria Taylor. How did that subversion tactic against Rachel Nichols work out for you there, woke girl? Bye-bye.
Enjoy. Did she get hired by NBC?
She showed up last night.
Wow.
Doing the replay. Okay. So, I mean, my guess is when Michaels walks, Tirico steps in the booth for Collinsworth, and maybe she's the studio host for Sunday Night Football. I don't have anything against her. We talked about that story on that Wednesday. I didn't like the way that was that character assassination, audio release was done against Rachel Nichols. And I applaud ESPN for not, caving to the wokers and paying her because nobody, aside from, we talked about it that day, aside from Stephen A, nobody tunes into a network to hear anybody talking anymore. So why give her $15 million? Let NBC pay her.
I'm trying to look it up real quick. I don't see where she signed a deal. I think this might be like a temporary type of thing, which is it's a good idea on her team's behalf because you don't want to be off the screen very long because people forget about you.
No, yeah, people forget about you quick. So we talked about Carrie Champion. She's fetching water for Jamel Hill after she left ESPN. So. And
if she is able to come up with the deal, one has not been reported yet, but they're digging into it. Because officially her contract with ESPN isn't up yet. So gotcha. I don't think it ends until the end of July. So I think she might be whatever. She might be doing it for free, but anyways, wants to be in the limelight. The other thing with her, if you sign her, she's got the following more. I think of when I see Maria, I really think more college football than I ever did NBA. Yeah. NBC still does Notre Dame. So
while I'm taking swipes at Jamel because she gives all Michiganders a bad name. I don't know about the Maria Taylor thing. I'll link you on Twitter the article that SI Now reported that her and ESPN basically couldn't come to an agreement and she left the day after the finals.
No, I know that they released her, but her contract is officially not
right. Might still run
until a week from today.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot at Jamel on my way out before we run, and I know we got to run because she drives me insane. She gives all Michigan people a bad name living out in California, talking about being a native Detroiter. Exactly, Sparty, always Sparties. She posted a GIF yesterday congratulating Maria Taylor, and it's the gif of Red walking out of the prison in Shawshank Redemption, nobody would even know who you are without ESPN. ESPN made you famous and rich, and you ain't done anything since. And you gotta call ESPN a jail. Shut up. Get out of here. Stop it.
If there ever was an entitled, and I know I've told the story.
Entitled wokers, man, drive me nuts. Turning me into a Republican. My father's ashes are curdling behind me.
I really feel like she's changed over the years, because when I met her on that train years ago, I guess it's close to 10 years now, she never gave off this vibe of her being such a racist, but she is blatantly, I mean, it's asinine.
She wrote for the Detroit Free Press when I was in college. I loved reading her. She was a champion of the people. She, was.
Well, she made sense.
Yeah, she made sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man. Yeah, people change over time, but come on, quit posting walking out of jail gifts for leaving a $3 million a year job at ESPN. Give me a break. Have some context.
The offer, right? The offer was on the table. Then you showed your ass, and now it's off the table. So. And I get why, I don't defend ESPN, but I get why you wouldn't do it. Because even if she said, you know what, I'll take the $3 million, go, no, you've ruined your brand on our station, because too many people know the story now that you tried to sabotage what is supposed to be a colleague, a peer. You tried to sabotage your career for your own gain. So I believe behind closed doors, Maria Taylor's not a very good person, but she's never come off that way on air. So I'm not going to hold it against her per se. Well, would I trust her? Hell no. I'm not going to trust her. She just doesn't come off as there's a lot of people at ESPN that I do like, as much as I may not like the company. That's not one of them. Because if you're willing to do that to a colleague, you're willing to do that to anybody. You do it to your mom, dude. You do it to any, because if you work side by side with someone and you sweat and the blood and the tears, and you would willing to stab them in the back, dude, that is a different level of narcissism and borderline psychotic behavior. My walk off for the day is, as I get back to reality and quit blacking out and saying crazy stuff, watch this. The Olympics are actually being played now. Now we're no longer just watching a bunch of soccer and opening ceremonies. Finally, it got going this morning. I watched beach volleyball this morning. I watched some swimming. By the way, the beach volleyball is incredible. I mean, I forget how much I like volleyball until I see it. Right. I can't get into college, because to my knowledge, Florida State's never been good at either one of them. I know they've been good at beach volleyball, but I've never seen that televised, college beach volleyball. So I watched that. That was a lot of fun. And I see men's volleyball is actually coming on today as well. And then the swimming, the track and field, all that stuff. I won't watch the real sports per se in the Olympics. I like watching
baseball, basketball, all that stuff.
Soccer. I don't watch the soccer, especially now that I know that it's a 23 and under league.
Yeah.
That's John. Literally, I was watching. I was like, "Why the hell is Germany getting their ass kicked right now, 3-0 in the first half?" And so Angelo, added me. He goes, "Well, it's actually 23 and under." All right, that makes sense. Because Germany's never lost anything in soccer. Like, they've always been one of the tops my entire lifetime. But we got to run. We bled over a little today, but Sean, appreciate you staying on, and enjoy the baseball game next Saturday. You will be with us Wednesday, correct?
We'll be with you on Wednesday. Yep. I will just not be here next Saturday. I will be in downtown Atlanta doing the aquarium, eating at Burps, probably hitting the varsity for burger and fries, doing all the ATL stuff.
You got to get dirty next Saturday. Varsity. You got to get the varsity.
Can't miss out on the varsity when you're in the dirty. So I'll be at Truist Friday night. I'll send you a lot of pics, and we'll talk to everybody on Wednesday. Be safe out there this weekend.
All right, brother. We'll see everyone on Monday morning, and everyone have a great rest of the weekend. Don't be scared to watch some Olympics, y'all. I mean, you might not want to watch the flag ceremony, but whatever. All right.